The bank claimed I owed $1,500,000, 0 cents, for a loan I never took. Shockingly, my brother used my identity to fund his luxury penthouse. At the family reunion, I handed him the FBI dossier in silence. I was halfway through a system audit, my fingers flying across the keyboard in the sterile glow of my dual monitors, when my phone buzzed against the glass desk. The hum of the open plan office at CyberGuard Solutions, San Francisco's rising star in tech security, faded as I glanced at the screen. Unknown number. I ignored it. In my line of work, distractions could cost millions. A breached firewall, a missed vulnerability, and a client's data would be siphoned off to some dark web marketplace faster than you could say ransomware. As a 32-year-old cybersecurity analyst, I'd built my reputation on focus, precision, and an almost obsessive need to protect. 8 years at the firm had taught me that threats were everywhere, but I never imagined the biggest one would come from my own blood. The voicemail icon blinked insistently as I pushed through lines of code, hunting a ghost in the system, a potential exploit in a client's payment gateway. My headset crackled with the voice of my team lead, Priya, coordinating our response. "Emily, you seeing this? The logs are screaming." I nodded, though she couldn't see me, my eyes locked on the data. But that voicemail nagged, a splinter in my mind. Unknown callers didn't leave messages unless it was urgent. My elderly neighbor, Mrs. Chen, had been battling pneumonia. Maybe the hospital was calling. I slipped off my headset, muttered an apology to Priya, and tapped the voicemail. "Ms. Carter, this is Gregory Holt from Wells Fargo's foreclosure department." The voice was clipped, professional, but carried an edge that made my stomach twist. "You are 4 months delinquent on your mortgage payments for the property at 2846 Pacific Avenue. The outstanding balance is $1,200,000, 0 cents. If we do not receive payment within 72 hours, we will initiate foreclosure proceedings. Please contact us immediately." The words hit like a sucker punch. My vision blurred, the code on my screen dissolving into static. Foreclosure? Mortgage? I didn't own a home. My loft in the Mission District was a rental, a sleek, overpriced haven of exposed brick and smart home gadgets, paid for monthly through an app. Pacific Avenue was in Pacific Heights, the kind of neighborhood where tech billionaires and old money families played. I'd never set foot in a house there, let alone signed a mortgage for one. My pulse hammered as I replayed the message, scribbling the address on a post-it. 2846 Pacific Avenue. Why did it sound familiar? Then it clicked. Sharp and cold as a blade. My sister, Lauren. Her new mansion, the one she'd unveiled 10 months ago at a housewarming that felt more like a gala than a family gathering. Imported marble floors, crystal chandeliers, floor-to-ceiling windows with views of the Golden Gate Bridge glinting in the distance. She'd given me the grand tour, her heels clicking on the polished hardwood as she pointed out every custom feature, her voice dripping with pride. "Someday, Em, you'll have this too," she'd said, her manicured hand squeezing my shoulder. "You just need to dream bigger." I'd smiled, swallowing the twinge of envy, chalking it up to her ambition. Lauren, the golden child, always outshining me with her venture capital deals and her perfect life with Nathan, her hedge fund husband. But now, that address burned in my mind. Her house, my name, $1,200,000, 0 cents. I stumbled to the break room, my legs unsteady, the hum of the office now a distant roar. The coffee machine hissed, but I barely registered it as I dialed the bank. "This is Emily Carter," I said, my voice thinner than I wanted. "I got a voicemail about a foreclosure. There's been a mistake. I don't have a mortgage." The representative, Holt, didn't miss a beat. "Miss Carter, our records show you signed a mortgage for $1,200,000, 0 cents, in December last year for the Pacific Avenue property. Payments were made for 3 months, then stopped. Your income verification lists $350,000, 0 cents, annually, with a credit score of 792 at signing. We have your signature on the loan application, tax returns, and closing documents. My knees buckled. I gripped the counter, the room tilting. That's impossible. I'm a cybersecurity analyst, not a CEO. My income's half that, and I've never applied for a loan that size. I rent my apartment. This isn't my debt. A pause. Then Holt's tone softened, but not enough to ease the dread pooling in my chest. Ms. Carter, if you didn't initiate this, you may be a victim of fraud. I strongly recommend you visit our branch on Montgomery Street to review the documents, and you should contact law enforcement. Fraud. The word echoed, sharp and final. I hung up, my hands trembling as I Googled the address. The listing popped up instantly. A 5,000-square-foot masterpiece, sold 10 months ago. Lauren's Instagram flashed in my mind. Her posts from that house, sipping champagne on a balcony, captioned, "Living the dream." My dream, apparently, according to the bank. My name, my credit, my future, all tied to her mansion. The betrayal sliced through me, but I couldn't believe it yet. Not Lauren, not my sister, who'd taught me to code in high school, who'd cheered at my college graduation, who'd always been my protector. There had to be another explanation. I didn't make it back to my desk. Priya found me in the break room, her brow furrowed. "Emily, you okay? You look like you've seen a ghost." I forced a smile, muttering something about a personal emergency, and grabbed my bag. The audit would have to wait. I needed answers, and I needed them now. The drive to Wells Fargo was a blur. San Francisco's hills and fog-shrouded streets barely registering. My Tesla's dashboard glowed, but my mind was elsewhere, replaying Lauren's housewarming. The way Nathan, her husband, had hovered, his Rolex glinting as he poured wine, his smile too polished. The whispers among guests about his hedge fund being under pressure. Lauren's laughter, bright and effortless, as she showed off the home theater. Had it all been a lie? A facade built on my stolen identity? At the bank, a glass-walled office on Montgomery Street, the branch manager, Patricia Evans, greeted me with a guarded expression. She was in her 50s, her suit crisp, her eyes sharp. "Ms. Carter, I've pulled the file, let's go through it." She slid a thick folder across the desk, and my heart sank with every page. Loan application, income verification, tax returns, a credit check authorization, all in my name, all with my social security number, all bearing a signature that looked like mine but wasn't. The loops of the E were too perfect, the slant too deliberate. I'd spent years analyzing digital signatures for fraud. I knew a forgery when I saw one. "This isn't me," I said, my voice shaking. "I didn't sign these. I've never seen these documents." I flipped to the property details, 2846 Pacific Avenue. The photos matched Lauren's mansion exactly, the spiral staircase, the rooftop terrace, the infinity pool. My stomach churned. "This is my sister's house. She lives there. I don't—" Patricia's lips tightened. "Ms. Carter, this is serious. The application was processed online with extensive verification. Whoever did this had access to your personal information, social security, birth date, employment history, and they knew how to game the system." She leaned forward, her voice low. "I've seen cases like this before. It's often someone close, family even. You need to involve the FBI, and you need to do it fast." "The FBI!" The words landed like a gavel. I nodded numbly, my mind racing. Lauren and I had always been close, despite our differences. She was the extrovert, the deal maker, the one who lit up rooms. I was the introvert, the coder, the one who found peace in algorithms and rooftop gardens. Growing up in Marin County, under the shadow of our parents' philanthropy, we'd been a team. She'd defended me from high school bullies. I'd helped her debug her first startup's website, but her life had veered into a stratosphere I couldn't touch. Private jets, yacht parties, a marriage to Nathan, whose charm masked something darker. Their Instagram was a curated fantasy, but I'd seen cracks. Lauren's cryptic comments about tough markets, Nathan's evasiveness about his fund. Had they been desperate enough to do this? I left the bank with copies of the documents, my bag heavier with the weight of betrayal. Patricia's warning echoed. This isn't just fraud. It's sophisticated. There could be more at play. Syndicates, even. Syndicates. The idea was absurd, but it planted a seed of fear. As I climbed into my car, my phone buzzed again. Another unknown number. I hesitated, then answered. Emily Carter, a distorted voice rasped, low and deliberate. Drop the investigation. You don't know what you're messing with. Keep digging, and you lose everything. The line went dead. My breath caught, my hands frozen on the steering wheel. The San Francisco skyline loomed through the fog, but the city felt alien now, its shadows hiding threats I couldn't see. Who knew I was investigating? The bank? Someone else? Lauren? I locked the doors, my heart pounding. This wasn't just about a mortgage anymore. This was personal, and it was dangerous. Back at my loft, I turned my home into a bunker. The Mission District's vibrant murals and tech bro cafes faded as I drew the blinds, activated every security camera, and changed my passwords. My rooftop garden, usually my sanctuary with its succulents and fairy lights, felt exposed under the night sky. I pored over the bank documents, cross-referencing them with Lauren's social media. Every post from her mansion, brunch on the terrace, yoga in the sunroom, felt like a taunt. How had she done this? How had she gotten my social security number, my employment details, my life? I called TransUnion, my voice steady despite the panic clawing at me. The representative's bored tone shifted to alarm as she pulled my credit report. Miss Carter, there are multiple accounts here. A $1,200,000, 0 cents mortgage, a $500,000, 0 cents yacht loan, 5 credit cards with limits up to $50,000, 0 cents each, and a $300,000, 0 cents personal loan. Total debt, $2,100,000, 0 cents. Your credit scores dropped to 510. I nearly dropped the phone. None of those are mine. Not one. I didn't open them. I'm initiating a fraud alert, she said quickly. You'll need to contact Experian and Equifax, file disputes, and get a police report. This is extensive. Extensive didn't cover it. My credit was obliterated. My future in cybersecurity, a field where trust and clearance were everything, jeopardized. I couldn't apply for a loan, a lease, maybe even a new job with a score like that. And a yacht? I'd never been on one, let alone bought one. But Lauren had. Her Instagram showed her and Nathan on a sleek vessel off Monterey, captioned, "Chasing Horizons." My horizons, apparently. Sleep didn't come that night. At 2 a.m. I was still awake, my laptop glowing with credit bureau websites, when I heard a faint click from the front door. My loft's smart lock was top of the line, but I'd seen enough hacks to know nothing was foolproof. I grabbed the baseball bat I kept under my bed, my pulse deafening. The living room was dark, the city's neon glow seeping through the blinds. A shadow moved near my desk. I froze, bat raised, as the figure rifled through my files, the bank documents. Before I could react, they bolted, leaving a crumpled note on the floor. "You're next." I didn't scream. I didn't call the police. Not yet. I checked the security footage, but the intruder wore a hoodie, their face obscured. They'd taken the original bank copies, leaving me with scans. My loft, my safe space, felt violated. I spent the rest of the night installing new locks and a deadbolt, my mind spiraling. Was this Lauren's doing? Nathan's? Or someone else, someone bigger, as Patricia had warned? By morning, I was a wreck, but I had a plan. I called my best friend, Mia, a private banker who'd worked with Lauren's firm. Over coffee at a crowded Mission cafe, I spilled everything. Mia's eyes widened as I showed her the scanned documents. "Emily, this is bad. Lauren's been dodging creditors for months. Her startup's bleeding cash and Nathan's fund is under SEC investigation. I saw them buy a Bentley last week. Cash? I thought it was weird, but now..." She trailed off, her face pale. "Cash?" I asked. "From where?" Mia leaned closer. "I don't know, but their credit's shot. They were rejected for a loan at my bank." Nathan was furious, said something about making it work. This feels like more than just them." Her words chilled me. I remembered the anonymous call, the break-in. "Mia, am I in danger?" She hesitated, then nodded. "If this is what I think, you need to be careful. People like Nathan don't play small, and Lauren, she's not the sister you knew." I left the cafe on edge, scanning the street for anyone watching. That's when it happened. A black SUV roared around the corner, tires screeching, aimed straight at me. I dove behind a parked car, the SUV missing me by inches before speeding off. My knees scraped the pavement, my breath ragged. It wasn't an accident. Someone wanted me scared. Or dead. I drove to a forensic document examiner next, Dr. Alan Pierce, a contact from a past case at CyberGuard. His office was a cluttered mess of magnifying glasses and ink samples, but his expertise was unmatched. He studied the forged signatures, his brow furrowing. "These are good, too good. The forger knew your handwriting intimately, pressure points, hesitations, even the quirks in your C. This wasn't a random hack, it was personal." "And you testify to that?" I asked, my voice barely steady. He nodded. "With a formal analysis, yes. But Emily, whoever did this isn't working alone. The precision, the scale. It smells like a network. Be careful." A network. Patricia's warning about syndicates echoed again. I thanked him and left, my mind a storm of questions. Lauren had access to my details. We'd shared a home growing up and I'd never locked my files. But a network? That was beyond her, wasn't it? Or was Nathan the key, his hedge fund a front for something darker? The next blow came at work. I'd taken unpaid leave to focus on the investigation, but Priya called me in for an urgent meeting. When I arrived, my boss, Greg, was waiting, his face grim. "Emily, we received an email from your account. It's disturbing." He slid a printout across the desk. The email, sent to the entire leadership team, claimed I'd been skimming client data to fund personal debt. Attached were forged bank statements, my name, $2,100,000, 0 cents in transactions. All fake. My blood ran cold. "Greg, this isn't me. My email was hacked. I'm dealing with identity theft. Someone's framing me." He sighed, rubbing his temples. "I want to believe you, but this is a PR nightmare. We're suspending you pending an investigation. You know how sensitive our clients are." Suspended. My career, my lifeline, was slipping away. I left the office in a daze, the San Francisco fog thicker than ever. Someone wasn't just stealing my identity. They were dismantling my life, piece by piece. And I was running out of time to stop them. The family gala was 2 days away, a glittering event at my parents' Sausalito estate to celebrate their latest charity milestone. Lauren would be there, all charm and designer gowns, oblivious to the storm I was bringing. I spent those days building my case, meeting with Special Agent Lisa Navarro at the FBI's San Francisco field office. She was in her 40s, sharp-eyed, with a no-nonsense demeanor that steadied me. I laid out everything: the mortgage, the yacht, the break-in, the SUV, the hacked email. She took meticulous notes, her expression darkening. "This is wire fraud, identity theft, and possibly money laundering," she said. "The IP address on the mortgage application traces to your sister's old Nob Hill address. We're also looking at her husband. His funds been flagged for suspicious transactions. Emily, this could be bigger than your family. There's chatter about offshore accounts in your name." "Offshore?" I whispered. "How deep does this go?" "Deep enough that you're not safe. We're assigning you protection, but you need to stay vigilant. If you confront your sister, do it carefully. People like this don't fold easily." Protection. The FBI. My life had become a thriller, and I was the reluctant protagonist. I left the field office with a folder of evidence: bank records, IP logs, a preliminary report. It was enough to bury Lauren, but it felt like a guillotine over our family. My parents, Robert and Margaret, were Marin County royalty, their lives dedicated to helping others. They'd raised us to value honesty, loyalty, family. How could Lauren, their pride and joy, have done this? And how would they survive the truth? The night before the gala, my car betrayed me. I was driving home from a late meeting with Mia, navigating the steep incline of Lombard Street, when the brakes failed. The pedal sank to the floor, useless, as my Tesla accelerated toward a crowded intersection. I yanked the wheel, swerving into a side street, the car skidding to a stop, inches from a lamppost. My hands shook as I called a tow truck. The mechanic's verdict was chilling. "Someone cut your brake lines. This wasn't wear and tear." I didn't sleep that night. I sat in my loft, the FBI's evidence folder open, my bat nearby. Lauren's face stared back from a photo on my shelf, us at my college graduation, her arm around me, both of us laughing. I wanted to believe there was a mistake, that she'd been coerced, that Nathan was the mastermind, but the evidence didn't lie. The forged signatures, the IP address, the offshore accounts, they all pointed to her. And the threats, the call, the break-in, the SUV, the brakes, pointed to someone desperate to keep me quiet. The gala loomed like a battlefield. I dressed carefully, choosing a tailored black dress, understated but commanding, my makeup a shield against the vulnerability I felt. The FBI report was in my bag, its weight a reminder of what was at stake. As I drove to Sausalito, the Golden Gate Bridge glowing red against the dusk, I rehearsed my words. I wouldn't scream, wouldn't cry. I'd lay out the truth, calm, cold, undeniable, and let Lauren's lies crumble. My parents' estate was a vision of wealth and grace, fairy lights strung across the gardens, a string quartet playing as guests in tuxedos and gowns mingled. I spotted Lauren immediately, radiant in a crimson dress, her laughter carrying over the crowd. Nathan was at her side, his smile practiced, his eyes scanning the room. My parents greeted me with warm hugs, oblivious to the bomb I carried. "Emily, you look stunning," my mother said, her silver hair gleaming, but so serious. "Everything okay at work?" "Fine, Mom," I lied, my throat tight. "Just a long week." The dinner was torture, every clink of crystal and burst of laughter grating against my nerves. Lauren played the perfect daughter, toasting our parents' charity, her charm disarming everyone. But I saw the cracks. Her quick glances at Nathan, his hand gripping her arm a fraction too tightly. I waited, biding my time, the FBI report burning a hole in my bag. As dessert was served, chocolate torte, Lauren's favorite, my phone buzzed. A notification from my loft's security system. Motion detected. I opened the app, my blood freezing. Live footage showed 2 figures in my living room, tearing through my desk, my files, my life. One held a knife glinting under the fairy lights I'd left on. The feed cut out, a message flashing. You were warned. I stood, my chair scraping, every eye on me. Lauren's smile faltered, her fork pausing mid-air. "Emily?" my father asked, his brow creasing. "What's wrong?" I reached into my bag, my hand steady despite the terror coursing through me. "I need to say something," I said, my voice cutting through the chatter. I pulled out the FBI report, its cover stark against the white tablecloth. "This is a federal investigation into identity theft and fraud. $2,100,000. 0 cents in my name, tied to a mansion at 2846 Pacific Avenue. Lauren's man." The room went silent, the quartet's music the only sound. Lauren's face drained of color, her glass slipping from her hand, shattering on the floor. Nathan stood, his voice low. "Emily, this isn't the place." "It's exactly the place," I snapped, opening the report. "Forged signatures, offshore accounts, a yacht, credit cards, loans, all in my name. My credit's destroyed, my career's on the line, and someone's trying to kill me to keep this quiet." I looked at Lauren, my sister, my betrayer. "Explain, Lauren. Explain why your dream house is my nightmare." She laughed, a brittle, desperate sound. "This is insane. A bank error, a hack. Someone's framing us." "Then explain the IP address," I said, tossing the report onto the table. "Your old penthouse. Explain the brake lines cut on my car, the break-in at my loft, the SUV that nearly ran me down. Explain why my life's falling apart while you live in a mansion I'm paying for." My father's face reddened, his voice trembling. "Lauren, what is she talking about?" She opened her mouth, but no words came. Nathan grabbed her arm, hissing, "We're leaving." But my mother, tears in her eyes, blocked their path. "No. You stay. You tell us the truth." Lauren's mask cracked, her voice rising. "Fine. We were drowning. My firm's tanking. Nathan's fund is a mess. We needed a lifeline, just until the IPO. It was temporary, Emily. You weren't even using your credit." "Temporary?" I shouted, my control snapping. "You stole my identity, my future. You planned to frame me, to flee with the money. And now someone's trying to kill me." The guests gasped, whispers erupting. Lauren's eyes darted to Nathan, then back to me, a flicker of fear breaking through her defiance. We didn't mean for—" "Enough!" my father roared, standing. "Get out. Both of you. You're no daughter of mine." As Lauren and Nathan fled, the room spinning with shock, my phone buzzed again, a text from an unknown number. "You've made a mistake. This isn't over." I stared at the screen, the gala's elegance now a cruel irony. My sister had betrayed me, but the real danger was still out there, waiting. And I had no idea how deep this went, or who was coming for me next. The gala's aftermath clung to me like San Francisco's fog, thick, suffocating, inescapable. The image of Lauren's face, pale and crumbling as I unveiled the FBI report, haunted my sleepless nights. Her desperate laugh, Nathan's threats, my father's trembling voice disowning her, it all replayed in a loop, each memory a fresh cut. I'd exposed my sister's fraud, a $2,100,000 0-cent scheme built on my stolen identity. But the victory was hollow. My loft, once a sanctuary of smart home gadgets and rooftop succulents, felt like a cage. The break-in, the sabotaged brakes, the SUV that nearly killed me, they weren't just warnings. They were promises of worse to come. I sat at my kitchen island, The FBI's dossier spread before me, its pages dog-eared from obsessive review. Bank transfers, forged signatures, offshore accounts, all pointed to Lauren and Nathan. But the anonymous threats, the precision of the attacks, hinted at something bigger. Special Agent Lisa Navarro's words echoed. This could be bigger than your family. A syndicate, she'd said. The idea was ludicrous. My sister, the venture capitalist, tangled with criminals. Yet the evidence didn't lie, and neither did the fear knotting my stomach. My phone buzzed, shattering the silence. A text from Mia, my private banker friend. Check your email. Urgent. I opened my laptop, my pulse spiking. The email was from an anonymous sender, the subject line blank. Inside, a single line. You think you've won. Look closer. Attached was a PDF, a forged wire transfer, $500,000, 0 cents. From my name to an account labeled L. Brooks Ventures, Lauren's company. But the date was yesterday, after her arrest. My breath caught. She was in jail. Wasn't she? Or was someone else pulling strings, framing me deeper? I called Mia, my voice shaky. Did you send this? No, she whispered. I got the same email addressed to you. Someone's watching us. I'm scared. Stay put, I said, grabbing my keys. I'm coming over. The drive to Mia's Soma apartment was tense. San Francisco's neon-lit streets casting long shadows. I scanned my rearview mirror, half expecting another SUV to materialize. At a red light, my phone rang, an unknown number. I hesitated, then answered, Navarro's warning about vigilance ringing in my ears. Emily Carter? A distorted voice hissed. You're digging a grave. Stop, or we bury you. The line went dead, but the threat lingered, cold and heavy. My hands trembled on the wheel, but I kept driving. Mia was waiting, and I wasn't about to let fear win. At her apartment, Mia's face was ashen, her usually impeccable bob disheveled. She handed me a printout of the same email. This came from a server I can't trace, she said. I tried, It's encrypted, dark web level. Whoever sent this knows you're not backing down. I nodded, my mind racing. The transfer's fake, but it's meant to look real. Someone's trying to pin more on me, or scare me into silence. Mia poured us coffee, her hands unsteady. Lauren's in jail, right? So who's doing this? Nathan? He's locked up too, I said, though doubt crept in. Nathan's hedge fund had SEC scrutiny. Maybe he had connections, people covering his tracks. Or worse, people using Lauren's scheme for their own ends. I opened my laptop, pulling up the FBI's contact portal. But before I could type, Mia grabbed my arm. Look! She pointed out her window. A black sedan idled across the street, its tinted windows opaque. As we watched, it peeled away, tires screeching. My heart pounded. That's not a coincidence, I said, dialing Navarro. The agent's voice was brisk. Emily, we're tracking new activity. The mortgage IP traces to Lauren's old penthouse. But we've got something else. $3 million, 0 cents in transfers to shell companies, all in your name. We're digging into Nathan's fund, but you need to lay low. Someone's escalating. Escalating? I snapped, my fear boiling into anger. They cut my brakes, broke into my loft, and now they're tailing my friend. I'm not hiding, Lisa. I'm fighting. Navarro sighed. I get it, but you're a target. We're signing a protective detail. Stay put, and don't do anything reckless. Reckless was my middle name lately. After hanging up, I convinced Mia to stay with her sister in Oakland. This is my mess, I told her. I won't let it touch you. She protested, but I was firm. Alone again, I drove back to the mission, the city's fog thicker, mirroring my thoughts. The forged transfer, the sedan, the threats, they were pieces of a puzzle, but the picture was still blurry. Lauren had admitted to borrowing my identity, but her venom at the gala, your boring tech life, cut deeper than the fraud. Had she always resented me? Or was she a pawn in Nathan's game? At my loft, I double-checked the locks and cameras. My bat never far, but as I sat down to review the FBI dossier, my work laptop, a backup I'd kept at home, froze. A red screen flashed, text scrolling, "Stop digging, we see you, ransomware. My files, my evidence, my career." Locked. I tried every trick I knew, but the encryption was military grade. Whoever did this wasn't just a hacker, they were a predator. I called CyberGuard's IT team, my suspension be damned. Priya answered, her voice wary. "Emily, you're not supposed to contact us." "Priya, my laptop's compromised, ransomware targeted, it's tied to the fraud. Please, I need your help." She hesitated, then softened. "Send me a screenshot. I'll see what I can do, but Greg's watching you like a hawk. That email you sent? It's killing your reputation." The hacked email. Another blow. I sent the screenshot, my hands shaking. If CyberGuard fired me, my clearance would tank, and with it, my future. But losing my job was the least of my worries. As I paced, my phone buzzed with a security alert. Motion at my loft's entrance. The feed showed a figure in a hoodie, spray painting my camera lens black. I grabbed the bat, my pulse deafening, but by the time I reached the door, they were gone. A note was taped to the handle. "Last chance." I didn't sleep. Dawn broke over the bay, gray and unforgiving. I drove to a 24-hour diner, the kind where tech bros and night shift workers coexisted in greasy harmony. Over burnt coffee, I called Dr. Alan Pierce, the forensic document examiner. "Alan, I need more. The signatures, any chance they point to someone besides Lauren." His voice was cautious. "I've done a deeper analysis. The forgeries are hers, Emily. The pressure points match samples you gave me from her old contracts. But there's a second set of documents. Wire transfers, not in the bank's file. Someone else signed those, someone with less skill. I'd bet Nathan or a partner." "A partner." The word chilled me. "Can you testify to that?" "With time, yes. But Emily, this feels orchestrated. Watch your back." I hung up, my coffee cold. Navarro's syndicate warning, Pierce's partner theory, the ransomware, it all pointed to a web I couldn't see. I needed more evidence, and I needed it fast. Against Navarro's orders, I drove to Lauren's former Nob Hill penthouse, now listed for sale. The realtor let me in, assuming I was a buyer. The place was empty, its minimalist decor stripped, but I wasn't there for aesthetic. I checked the router. Still active for showings. With a quick hack, skills I'd honed at CyberGuard, I accessed its logs. The mortgage application had come from here, no question, but there were other transactions, encrypted, to servers I didn't recognize, dark web servers. As I copied the data to a USB, footsteps echoed behind me. I spun, heart in my throat, to see a man in a suit, his face hard. "You shouldn't be here, Miss Carter." He knew my name. I bolted for the door, but he grabbed my arm, his grip iron. "Let go," I hissed, twisting free and sprinting to my car. He didn't chase, but his eyes burned into me as I peeled away. My hands shook, the USB a hot coal in my pocket. Who was he? Nathan's fixer? A syndicate enforcer? Back at the diner, I analyzed the USB's data. My laptop air-gapped for safety. The transactions linked to shell companies. Albrook's Ventures, others with cryptic names. $3 million, 0 cents. funneled through my name to offshore accounts in the Caymans. Lawrence planned to flee, Navarro had said, but the dates were recent, post-arrest. Someone was still moving money, using my identity as a shield. I emailed Navarro the findings, my paranoia spiking. If Lauren was in jail, who was running the show? The answer came that evening during a jog to clear my head. The Embarcadero's salty air usually calmed me, but not tonight. A figure trailed me, their hoodie too familiar. I picked up my pace, weaving through tourists, but they matched me, closing the gap. My lungs burned as I ducked into a crowded market, the stalls a maze of fish and flowers. I hid behind a crate, my breath ragged, watching the figure pass. They didn't see me, but their presence was a warning. I was hunted. I called Navarro from a burner phone, my trust in my own devices shattered. Lisa, someone's following me. I got data from Lauren's penthouse, shell companies, recent transfers. This isn't just her. We're on it, she said. But Emily, you're pushing too hard. We've got chatter. Nathan's fund was a front for laundering. Your sister was in deep, but she's not the top. Stay with our detail tonight. I agreed, but staying put wasn't my style. The gala had lit a fire in me. Anger, yes, but also resolve. Lauren had stolen my identity, my security, my family's trust. I wouldn't let her, or whoever was behind this, win. But the pressure was crushing. My parents, Robert and Margaret, were ghosts of themselves, their charity events canceled, their Marin County circle whispering about the scandal. My mother called daily, her voice fragile. Emily, please. Think of Liam and Sophie. Lauren's children need their mother. Mom, she nearly killed me, I snapped, hating the hurt in her silence. She planned to frame me, to run. I'm the victim here. I know, she whispered. But she's still my daughter. And you're still sisters. Sisters. The word tasted bitter. Lauren's venom at the gala. You deserved it. Had shattered the sister I'd known. Yet my mother's plea tugged at me, Liam and Sophie's innocent faces flashing in my mind. I pushed the guilt down, focusing on survival. Days later, the danger peaked. I was back at CyberGuard, meeting Priya in secret to recover my laptop's files. The office was quiet, most staff at a conference. As I waited in the server room, the elevator dinged. I stepped in, distracted, only to feel it lurch violently. The car plummeted, my stomach dropping with it, lights flickering. I braced against the walls, screams caught in my throat, until the emergency brakes kicked in, jolting me to a stop. I pried the doors open, crawling onto a lower floor, my body shaking. The maintenance log, checked later, showed sabotage, cables tampered with. Someone wanted me dead. Navarro met me at the hospital, where I was treated for bruises. Emily, this is beyond fraud. We've got a lead. A fixer tied to Nathan's fund, known for silencing problems. We're moving on Lauren and Nathan's assets. But you need to disappear until we sort this. Disappear? I laughed. Bitter. My life's already gone. My credit, my job, my family. I'm not running. She sighed, handing me a safe house address. Then, at least stay here. We're close to cracking this. I relented, moving to a nondescript Oakland apartment under FBI watch. But the isolation was torture, my mind replaying every threat, every betrayal. Then came the letter, smuggled from Lauren's jail cell. Her handwriting was shaky, the words raw. Emily, I'm sorry, doesn't cut it. I was desperate, but I didn't know the full scope. Nathan pulled me in, but there's someone else, a bigger player. They're watching you. Be careful, I never meant for this. A bigger player. Doubt gnawed at me. Was she lying, manipulating me again? Or was she scared, trapped in a web she hadn't spun? I hid the letter, unsure who to trust. Navarro? My parents? Myself? The FBI's raid on Lauren's mansion was national news. Their arrests a spectacle. Lauren, in handcuffs, her designer gown replaced by a jumpsuit, stared into the cameras, her defiance gone. Nathan followed, his face a mask of rage. The headlines screamed, "San Francisco power couple charged in $3.00, fraud scheme." My name wasn't mentioned, but everyone knew. Friends texted, colleagues whispered, my parents retreated further. My mother's voice, when I called, was hollow. "We're a disgrace, Emily. How did this happen?" "You raised us to be honest," I said, my throat tight. "Lauren chose this, not you." But the guilt lingered. Liam and Sophie, Lauren's kids, were with my parents, their lives upended. A letter from Liam arrived, his childish scrawl breaking my heart. "Aunt Emily, why is Mommy gone? I miss you. Can you come play?" I cried, clutching the paper. They didn't deserve this. I visited them in Marin, their hugs a balm and a wound. "I'll always be here," I promised, dodging their questions about Lauren. But my parents' eyes, heavy with unspoken pleas, tested my resolve. The legal battle dragged on. A year of hearings and motions. Lauren and Nathan pleaded guilty, their empire of lies collapsing. In court, Lauren faced me, her face gaunt. "Emily, I destroyed you," she said, tears falling. I was weak, greedy, terrified of losing it all. I'll never forgive myself. Nathan beside her said nothing, his silence damning. The judge sentenced Lauren to 7 years, Nathan to 5, with $4 million, 0 cents in restitution, a sum they'd never pay, their assets seized. I felt no triumph, only a cold resolve. The bank foreclosed on the mansion, its marble halls auctioned to strangers. Clearing my credit was a slog, $2,100,000, 0 cents in debts disputed through endless calls and forms. My parents' visits to Lauren in prison were a silent wedge. Our Sunday dinners tense, superficial. "She's teaching art classes," my mother said once, watching me. I nodded, saying nothing. Forgiveness wasn't in me, not yet. But healing began, slow and uneven. Therapy with Dr. Rachel Cohen, a sharp psychologist, helped me untangle the trauma. "Betrayal rewires trust," she said. "You're not broken, you're adapting." Her words grounded me, reframing my caution as strength. Using restitution funds, I bought a Berkeley cottage. Its tiny garden, a rebellion against Lauren's opulence. I planted herbs, tomatoes, a lemon tree. Roots I'd chosen, not stolen. I founded CyberShield, a nonprofit for identity theft victims. Pouring my pain into purpose. Counseling survivors, I found a community who understood the violation, the shame, the fight. "You're a lifeline," one woman told me, her eyes wet. Her gratitude fueled me, each case a step toward reclaiming my power. But the story wasn't over. A cryptic call came weeks after the sentencing, the voice distorted. "Unfinished business, Miss Carter. Lauren was just the start." I froze, the Berkeley night still around me, Navarro's syndicate theory, Lauren's letter, the fixer in the penthouse. They swirled, a storm on the horizon. Who was the bigger player? What did they want? And how far would they go? I stood in my garden, the lemon tree's scent sharp, my resolve hardening. Lauren had betrayed me, but I'd survived. Brakes cut, elevator sabotaged, my life dismantled. I'd built CyberShield, a home, a purpose. Whoever was coming, I'd face them not as a victim, but as a fighter. The fog might hide the threat, but I'd learned to see through shadows. And I wasn't alone anymore.